Yes, many in the business world and several other areas of national development have argued over time that for Nigeria to get it right, the nation must fix its power infrastructure. That the infrastructure appeared not at all meeting the demand of its citizens. Well, some had gone further to make analysis going forward that if you take a brief of the analysis here, that some countries like South Africa, with a fewer population of about 50 or 55 million or so, pegging at the average here, has used about 50,000 megawatts of power. That's what they consume. Some are saying that what Heathrow Airport alone in London consume is almost 5,000 megawatts compared to what Nigeria as a nation is consuming. Or even sometimes when we have a collapse of the national grid, we just go and dangle below 3,000 megawatts, with almost everyone here becoming a kind of power generating firm of its or our own here. Everyone you go around here, you just see people using a generating set to actually generate the power that they consume. The question is, can the nation go on like this? Can the nation be developed like this? Can we be certain that we are on the right path when it comes to the issue of power sector reform and power sector development here? One basic point where critics of the Obasanjo administration always speak on him is the fact that about 16 billion naira was expended on the power sector with very little or no result. The independent power projects all appear to be more like an illusion, except in few areas where some will blame that on the issue of gas to power pipeline that we are vandalized. But in all this put together, billions of dollars have been spent in Nigeria's quest to have stable power supply. And yet, steady power supply still remains a mirage. My name is Ikaro Atta. The program is this morning on ITV, broadcasting from Abuja broadcast station at the hilltop of Umpape's Hill in the nation's capital city. We will be explaining the need for Nigeria to look elsewhere to get very viable source of energy supply. For now, Nigeria is looking so much on the issue of power generated from gas, and the main one which we've been looking into before, or which we've depended on over time, is the hydro power supply. Talking about dams like Kanji, Shiroro. The project of Mambila, or the Mambila power project, from what some lawmakers are saying, with a slim budget that cannot even take it far, that means that the project may not be coming as soon as we expect to see it. Are we tapping into solar energy, considering the fact that we have enough sunlight here that can actually go, or are we just saying it from a different perspective here? Okay, we are now being joined by our guest for this morning, engineer Tomiwa Bayo Ojo. He is an electrical engineer and a chartered estate surveyor and valuer. Well, he's into some other parts of solar energy here, and is very much into that with keen interest in renewable energy and clean energy. Welcome to us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now,
yes.
Let's go back and go through some journey, which I think you would have gone through in electrical and power history here.
Yes.
We're still dangling as a nation. Are we supposed to dangle?
No, we're not. Considering the time that we started, the Kanji Dam, if I recall, was built in 1968 with a capacity of about 800 megawatts. Then, like you said, we also had the Jebba and the Shirero, which followed after that. So we've made some giant strides, in moving the power sector forward. But I mean, we're still where we are for so many reasons.
What reasons?
I mean, issues of transmission infrastructure has been a major problem for us in Nigeria. I mean, the efficiency of the grid has not been too good, which has been causing for it to shut down. So it's not even as if it's not that we're not generating enough power. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. But that power is not being transmitted efficiently, and that's what causes this grid shutdowns,
Okay, but if we look at our dependence here, at a certain point, many persons have talked about the need for us to go into thermal and geothermal. Some said, look, hey guys, you're not up to that point yet. So we can even look at atomic energy, if we can even go into that point, like what some other countries of the world are doing. Some are saying we shouldn't even go there yet. We've not been able to tackle the issue of the hydro and the conventional gas powered electrical system here. Do you think we are committed as a people, from your own position as an electrical engineer and one who is vast in the power sector field, even renewable and green and clean energy here, are we really committed when you even look at the issue of the hydropower as well as the gas plant we are bringing in?
Yes, we are. I mean, you know that the power sector was privatized, where the government divested about 90% of the shares in the generating area. Then I think they own 40% of the shares in the distribution, and the transmission company is wholly owned by the government. So what they've been doing is basically trying to fix that transmission infrastructure with projects like the Siemens project that we've all heard about, which they aim to increase transmission capacity to about 25,000 megawatts by 2025. You know, that's going to take, I mean, it's a goal that has been set, and I hope that it can be achieved, because it will go a long way in feeding power to the necessary areas. I mean, power cuts across different facets of life, you know, it reduces the efficiency of people. It's been said that we'll lose about $26 million in productivity, you know, in Nigeria due to lack of, constant electricity, you know. So with all these new things that are coming up, and also there have been ways to help the distribution company grow. You heard about the $500 million that the World Bank is partnering with Nigeria to facilitate and to help the discos perform better. It's going to be based on their performance and how things are run, as I know, for the funds to be disbursed. But this will go a long way in also helping discos fix issues of meter deficit. We have a huge meter deficit in Nigeria. Electricity is not properly metered because a lot of people don't have meters. So, and a lot of people are starting manufacturing meters in Nigeria, which is good. You know, for instance, in Abuja recently, there have been upgrades of meters. More households are getting meters. You know, but also we have to get consumers to be willing to pay for electricity. You know, and the thing is that you can't force someone to pay for something they don't get. Do you get what I'm saying? So we have to create incentives for them to
like what incentives do we create here? I'm not saying that the meters should be free. The meters have not yet been so free as expected.
Yeah, I mean, there are different incentives for electricity. You can tie it to something that, look, in other countries, you know, they give people certain tax rebates for doing certain things, you know. But in Nigeria is a peculiar case, you know. I feel that we can adopt solutions that have worked in different African countries. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, for instance, if you pay your bill, you can get a reduction on certain public amenities. Okay. Do you get what I'm saying? So,
but let's come back now to some of the worries we have, because when people watch what goes on here, the fundamental question is, somehow, with my few times I have traveled to some West African neighbors, particularly the Francophone countries, our power don't even blink. I'm sorry, a few times I stay around Abidjan, Yamoussoukro, and some other countries. Just find it's almost just steady. When you come here, we still keep shouting up NEPA. We did that way back in the late 70s, and we're doing that now.
Yes, but you need to know that. Yes, but the thing, you need to know Nigeria is a much bigger country than these countries, and that means we have bigger problems than they do. You know, we've still
even if it is bigger, I know sure that sometimes you just sit down and you just start to wonder, hey guys, it's not blinking here.
Yes, because some of them, the capacity of electricity that they need is relatively small compared to what we have, and because of the land mass, they don't have as much area to cover as Nigeria. You know, about 43, I think, a huge amount of Nigerians still don't have access to electricity, especially in the rural areas. Do you get what I'm saying? So, I mean, the rural areas typically have three options. It's either grid extension, solar mini grids, or solar home systems, depending on the capacity of electricity that they need in those areas. So, for some times, the grid, they want to extend the grid to certain areas, but it might not be viable, which is why we should look at other alternatives, you know, to power those areas. Yes.
Okay, now I come in now. Let's look at before we come to touching the point of renewable energy, solar energy, and also ask question why government should be borrowing to actually stimulate the power sector. Now, all these billions we've spent before of dollars, have they yielded a result? If you're a businessman, I think like a businessman, will you put those billions and get little result?
No, but
because I know you're a businessman.
Yes, but they have yielded results to some extent. If there was no result, we don't have light in the studio right now.
But before they even came, most of the infrastructure were on the ground.
Yes, but another huge issue when it comes to infrastructure is proper maintenance. You know, long-term maintenance. And I always say that when some of these infrastructures are being built, the maintenance has to be factored in at the beginning. It's almost as important as constructing the infrastructure. You might as well not construct the infrastructure if you know that you're not going to have proper maintenance. These monies need to be earmarked from the beginning and say that, look, we're committing so and so to this, to maintain this for this. We need to know the periods, we need to know the lifespan of the equipment, you know, what is going to happen to them, how are we dealing with continuity. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's maintenance is key.
But even if we maintain now, the other question here, what about planning, long-term planning when it comes to power generation and distribution? Because on what you mentioned now, we are generating much, but we can't transmit much.
Yes.
Why do we not create a balance between transmission and generation? Why do we focus on generating when we know we can't transmit, and what is generated sometimes is a waste?
Yeah, but you see, the privatization of the generation is what brought about the increase in generation.
And there's no corresponding work when it comes to transmission.
Yes, exactly.
That means you now generate. You now go to the farm, cultivate all what you need or more than, and there is no road to take to the village.
For the crops to the village and to the market.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it's I mean, we business people have seen it that look, generation is viable. Do you get what I'm saying? If it is properly done, but it's to offload it now that is the problem.
I mean, would you not plan well?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, be very careful. Go ahead.
No. I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say we would not plan well, but mishaps happen, you know, and I think that we're on the right path to rectifying them. Yeah. So that's what it is.
Okay, now let's look at other sources of power.
Yes.
I don't know. I from my own point of view, I know we're using gas. We're using hydro.
Yes.
I don't know why we're using a coal at the moment here, but I know maybe we're not using coal, if I'm right.
Well, we're not. I mean, it's in the works. So what we mainly use now is fossil fuels, which is gas and hydro. Yes.
But when you go around the globe, you find out that renewable energy like wind energy, like solar energy have taken over the world.
Yes, they have.
Why are we dangling behind? Must we just wait behind?
No, we're not waiting behind. The issue with solar, for instance, is the capital outlay, especially for the private sector person. If you look at it, in Nigeria, the biggest mini grids and solar power plants have been constructed by government. I mean, the issues with the private sector person taking up a solar power plant that is, I mean, for you to do a solar power plant as a private person, you need a power purchase agreement from the government. Do you get what I'm saying? And structuring these deals has been a bone of contention.
Why?
Do you get what I'm saying? Because you need to have an agreeable tariff that is viable for you, the investor, and it's not too expensive for the government to pay. You know, and the PPAs are structured in a way where is either you have, I mean, if you're generating, you need to have an off-taker for it. Do you get what I'm saying? So, true. Yeah, so...
I think you should send that to the disco. Let's go to the transmission company.
Pardon?
If you're generating through solar,
yes.
Who pick up the power after generation?
Well, if you generate, you can either generate into the grid, or you generate as an IPP, an independent power producer. Fine. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like I said, the grid one, you need a certain tariff. But if you generate as an independent, you can go to a certain area and say, look, I want to give power to these people, and find an agreeable tariff with them, and work things out. But for this is usually on a small scale. For it to really be big, you know, you need to collaborate with the government. And this is
collaborating with government, from your point of view, is so difficult.
Yes and no.
You have to sign MOUs. You have to know somebody who knows somebody. You have to push some files.
Yeah, well, MOUs are the thing, because you go back and forth like any other country in the world. You need to everybody. It needs to be. Everyone needs to be happy, so to say, at the end of the day. The businessman has to look at it that, okay, I'll recoup my money in so and so years. The government has to look at it that, okay, we're not getting ripped off, you know, by these people. So that's the issue.
Now, what if you meet somebody who doesn't like your face, and you want to invest in solar energy, maybe connect it to the national grid? I mean, it's not possible at all. Has anyone done it before?
Connect to the national grid. Right now what we have, one of the biggest solar power plants we have is the one that was 7.1 megawatt that was constructed in Bayero University. So there are projects in the pipeline where they want to do solar on a large scale that would be connected to the grid, but it hasn't fully been done yet.
What about now let's look at the smaller ones. If you're driving past the Mabuchi interchange in Abuja, and you are going to Escado, and you look to the Ministry of Works, you just find a full-fledged solar car park.
Yes, an array of solar.
And I ask them sometimes, are those things working? That's the question. I try to go into probe. I've not been able to have chance to actually probe deep here. We just see an array of solar. I don't know. I just felt it was some car park, but I had to discover it was just a solar car park here. Can that one fire the ministry?
Yes, it can. It should. I don't know about that project in particular.
But you just see
from the arrays that I see, it can power a few, quite a number of floors. I mean, if properly designed. Do you get what I'm saying? So I mean, solar. The one of the biggest markets now for solar in Nigeria is for homes. Do you get what I'm saying? Where we have small inverters and batteries that people use to generate electricity for themselves, you know, and they install these systems. So another thing is that the reason why people gravitate towards solar in Nigeria is not because it is cheaper. It is because of the lack of electricity. But in other countries, it's not because of the absence of the grid that they gravitate towards solar. They gravitate towards solar because they're like, okay, it might be cheaper than the grid. I can make some savings during the day. Do you get what I'm saying? So, and another thing that is very different from a typical home in Nigeria using solar compared to abroad is that we use a lot of batteries, and these batteries make solar really expensive.
Okay.
This is over 50% of the cost of the installation. Yeah. So abroad now, for instance, they use just the panels and the inverter. They don't use batteries. So this reduces the cost significantly.
Why different from here? Why don't they use battery?
Okay, so this is it. Think about it as a straight line that you're trying to bridge.
Good.
Okay, the grid is a straight line. Okay, if this line is constant, do you get what I'm saying? What you're trying to do is to reduce how much you're paying. So so we have something called bidirectional meters in all this in these other countries that I'm talking about. So what that aims to do is that when the solar panels are installed, when there's sun, Okay, these bidirectional meters read backwards. So at that time when there's electricity generated from the sun, okay, it is reducing your consumption from the grid, which reduces your bill. Do you get what I'm saying? But that means that you have grid 24 hours. So it means that at night, the grid takes over fully. There's no sun again. So, but in Nigeria, during the day, the grid is not constant. So you're constantly having electricity and not having electricity. So for you to bridge that gap of not having, you need to store the power. And that storage, battery technology still has a long way to go.
The batteries sometimes have their own lifespan and they die.
Yes.
And when they die, the people with the solar panel, you just discover a neighbor of yours who appear to be having 247 light. Starts to hear generating set from his compound.
Yes.
The batteries back up.
Yes, just like anything.
And they're expensive.
Yes, they're expensive. I'll explain why the lifespan of batteries is low. It's low in certain cases.
Okay.
Sometimes when these inverters are sized, they're not. When this solar systems are sized, they're not properly sized, or they are misused by the consumer. For instance, you say now that, I want a situation. I want solar in my house. Do you get what I'm saying? And an engineer has come to do an assessment and said, okay, you need a 3.5 kVA inverter with 4 batteries. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, you do that. You install that based on the energy audit that you've done. You know that, okay, this will power so and so. If you stick to that, the batteries will last longer. Like a car, you can't use a car forever. Do you get what I'm saying? So the batteries will last longer if it is properly sized and properly used. But the thing now is that you already said that, then you now come and start a pure water factory and add a lot of load. Do you get what I'm saying? To the inverter that the inverter can't handle. So this keeps draining the batteries every time, and it would definitely reduce the lifespan significantly. So that's usually the case with the.
But for this one now, is it possible for us to make it cheaper when it comes to the issue of the solar energy? Can we make it cheaper?
Yes, we can make it cheaper.
Because it seems to be something like something that's elitist in nature for now.
Yes.
Only the big guys have them.
Yes.
And we, the masses, don't.
And it was,
am I correct here? Sometimes just say some big guys have
Well, the thing is,
when you drive around some counties, you find solar everywhere.
Yes. The reason why a lot of people, even this so-called big people that you're referring to, do you get what I'm saying? The reason why even some of them have the money but they don't want to buy into it, and the reason why is financing. They compare with the cost of the generator, the initial cost of the generator, but they don't look at the long-term cost. And this is typical with human beings in general. You would rather spend less now and find a way to patch it, as you go forward. So what we need to do is that we need to provide, in collaboration with government, we need to provide long-term financing for solar in Nigeria. So for instance, you have a solar system that would cost 500,000 naira. I'm just saying hypothetically, and you look at it, you can buy a generator for a smaller amount, but you still need to buy petrol for a long time. You still need to maintain it. You need to change the oil, but you just exactly, and the smoke and the pollution. So you see the generator looking brand new, coming out of nylon. There's somebody telling you that you should come and pay 500,000, bam, like that immediately. The solution to that is to provide low interest, long-term financing for solar. It would go a long way.
Now let's look at government borrowing to actually boost the sector, borrowing more to stabilize the power sector, and also getting more from some parts here. Would that make sense to borrow? Because we've been borrowing, and the more we borrow, the more Nigerians are saying that they don't see power. And we've not seen power for years. Yes. And despite the technicalities they talk about around power, that we're injecting more funds. Like what someone tells somebody is that want to just see the lights. Want to see the studio like this very bright. Want to see our houses very bright.
Yes.
Want to see where we just come to where we are, and we just see power. Why is it that when government borrow, when government puts in fund, it doesn't correspond, and these are taking decades?
Yeah, but the thing is that it's like
because I know when we're growing up, it still remains the same to this day. Even it's even getting a little bit worse. Those days when we have, maybe somebody say we have lesser population, lesser consumption, but the more we go, the darker it becomes.
Yeah, but I feel that it takes time for people to see the change. Do you get what I'm saying? To see, to see for the investments to be reflected, you know, as as professionals, you would, you know that these things take time. Even when you infuse cash into a certain project, it's in different phases. Do you get what I'm saying? So even the recent strides that have been made, like we discussed earlier, like the 500 million and the Siemens deal, they are being managed better. You know,
how do you know about manage better? How do you know we manage better?
Well, based on the information,
because the one we have seen before, or have the IPPIS, they say, oh, it's been managed better. We pass through it and we discover that it's just a press conference statement.
Well, as a technical person, you know, when I look at this, some of this, the information that is available to the public, I feel that there have been some improvement in the way these things are being handled. You know. Okay,
if we turn it a little bit forward now, and we look at it now, your projection. What about wind energy?
Yes, wind energy. Are we
going there?
Yes, we are going there. Yeah,
because
yes.
when you look at Canada and some parts of the US, you just find this big, beautiful wind field. Yes. Everything is just rotating, and power is just coming out, and we got enough wind here. But are we going there?
Well, we are going there. People are using wind turbines in certain areas, but the thing is, solar has just been more popular in this part of the world.
Because we got sunlight.
You know, yeah, exactly. Because we got sunlight, and we got sunlight for a very long period of time. If you go to colder regions where they don't have sunlight, yes, they would most likely use wind, then they use tidal energy from the waves from the ocean. So they look at the alternatives in their own area, you know. But in Nigeria, we have abundance of sunlight, so it's a no-brainer.
We don't even tap in it. Somebody said we've not even tapped 1%.
Yes, we haven't.
Tap even just 1%.
We haven't. But the reason why we haven't tapped it is this. Transmission and distribution that needs to be properly sorted out.
What about the local ones in our homes? We don't tap at all. Because if you go around, like what I said before, some other parts, you just find almost every home is solar connected. That's the first thing that picks your attention from the roof. You see the solar panel.
Yes.
But in our case here,
but there's been support and incentives for people to buy into solar in this country.
Why are they not buying it?
You know, because it's cheaper and you can
pay over. Why are they not buying it?
Because it's expensive. It's expensive for the average consumer to pay for solar energy, mostly because of the cost of the batteries. You know, so.
Okay, if the battery remains costly, that means we just need to push through. But quickly,
no, but the pricing of the battery is going to reduce because there's new battery technologies coming up. There's lithium batteries, you know, that last longer and are getting cheaper. So there's hope in the horizon.
Okay, now we have to live on hope first while we enjoy the darkness. That's the truth. We have to live on hope for now while we enjoy darkness here and all of that here. But quickly before we go, let's look at a broader picture of our power sector here. Many people are saying that we're not getting it correctly at all, that we are missing out in infrastructure, road infrastructure, power infrastructure, health infrastructure, general infrastructure here. But today we're looking at the power infrastructure where you're very vast here. Are we making progress in the proportion we should be going, either arithmetic or geometry?
Yes, we are making progress.
Progress, how far is the progress? Because the man who watches you out there knows that you're a private sector person. Would have thought you're a government person, but you appear very optimistic about the system here. That if we make progress, why are we still in this state? Where we still run on gen, and run most times on generating sets, even across the world. Even someone even said the power ministry by Transcorp Hilton runs on gen.
No, in the since we were talking and we said I think we both agree that solar is an alternative, So
and we're not tapping at that alternative.
Yes, exactly. But so I feel what we need to do now is focus more on financing, reducing the tariffs on some of the equipment that is used, and manufacturing locally as well.
The loan the government takes ought to go to people like you and others who are in the sector. Does it get down? Or is it some big boys who hang it up, who just get it somewhere?
I mean, the one that we was discussed recently is mainly for the distribution companies, Even as a distributor, what about people like you who are into the system? How do government come in? Yeah, government has helped in the area of the Rural Electrification Agency. Okay. They've significantly helped people
they also help
in the private sector.
Because sometimes you just put a good solar panel, it runs through for 1-2 years, the community will be shining at night, and the next thing you start to see the community getting dark, the third, fourth, 50th. I've seen that before.
Yes, with the solar street lights and things like that. It's just that we need to, I feel that an area that we need to improve on is in the area of maintenance and checking, and making sure, because some equipment they work better in the dry season, some equipment perform not so good in the rainy season. All this needs to be taken into consideration, when it comes to maintenance.
Okay, thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you very much.
I've seen as someone with so much optimism when it comes to the power sector.
Thank you for having me.
When we talk to people, they just keep, just come this hard on government for not giving us power. But from an insider perspective here, you're saying that we're on the right track.
Yes.
Just that I think we may need to go a little bit faster.
Yes.
Yeah, agree. Okay, thank you very much.
Agree.
Okay, engineer Tomiwa Bayo Ojo, electrical engineer and the chartered estate surveyor and valuer. He's the CEO of Volsus Energy Limited, a power energetic company with a keen focus on solar and other renewable energy. And he is very confident and very optimistic that we are on the right path going forward if we sustain what we are doing. He's saying that government should focus more attention on transmission because we're generating enough and we need to transmit so much. But he's confident that the same agreement the federal government is pushing through from the presidency to the power sector, if that works and every other one works, we'll be sure that we'll have steady power supply over time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take a break quickly. When we return back from the break, it will be time for us to look at our contribution and our roles as stakeholders in the Nigerian project. What should we be doing to engender peaceful coexistence at a time when we have intense insecurity? The challenges are very enormous here. We have the issue of kidnapping in some parts of the country. The armed banditry is in the northwestern part of the country. The Boko Haram insurgency is not yet over in the northeast. Cultism, kidnapping, several other in the southeast and the south part are also very worrisome. So across the country, as the need for us to actually work towards peace and national security, what should everyone be doing after this break?